Welcome back to the Any Spartan Show. It's Paul, Josh, and Sandy coming to you again a week after Shale Hill's Polar Bear Challenge, and also Tough Mudder brought a bunch of announcements to start the 2018 season off. A couple other things as well. Enjoy the show! Welcome to episode 70 of the Any Spartan Show.
Wow. Who would have thought?
Did you guys imagine when we started doing this that we'd still be going 70 episodes later?
Do you realize that I have only been a part of this show for the chance to introduce episode number 69 and you robbed me of that?
You were invited to be participant in the episode 69.
With Rob.
With Rob, yes. So we're actually going to carry on. This might be a fairly quick episode. We've got a couple of things that are going on that we want to talk about. But I don't know that we're going to be yakking in your ear for the whole time. But you've got the usual crew. You've got me, Paul Jones. Josh?
You've got me, Josh Ace.
And me, Sandy Ree, of course.
The usual crew. So why don't we kick off and talk about so episode 69, as Josh is so sad about, we talked about Shale Hill, some of the big changes that Rob had planned for the Polar Bear Challenge, which is their annual kind of, I guess it's their signature race every year. It's the race that the most people know Shale Hill for. And this year was year 6, Sandy? Year 7?
Yes. 6.
6. And Rob made some changes. And Sandy and I were there. What did you think, Sandy?
I loved it.
I
liked
really enjoyed it.
The updated course a lot. I liked the different order of things, even though I didn't know what was coming next all the time, which is unusual.
Yep.
And the penalties, I ran journeyman, so it didn't even matter to me. I saw a couple people running backwards, but not many.
I caught a couple of people going wrong. At one point, I'd stopped to have a chat with Rob, who, as usual, was buzzing around the whole course in various vehicles, trying to keep track of everyone and make sure everyone was doing all right. And I saw some kids come running by a set of hay bales that Rob had spray painted no on the side, meaning don't climb the hay bales, because they were the bagged, real kind, not the kind we climb on.
And he didn't want ice bugs tearing them all up.
And they saw the big no sign and decided that meant they shouldn't go in that direction, despite all the course markings and flags and barriers pointing them that way. So they turned towards the barn and headed up the hill towards the barn and went completely the wrong way. So it's like they were making a beeline for the bacon.
Well, that one's not on them, though, because that was very obviously don't climb on these because they're wrapped, not a course marking.
Well, I know when we were talking to Rob, we made jokes that we would be going the wrong way. We'd be, on autopilot and wandering across fields in the wrong direction. But I didn't spot anywhere on that course that was confusing, at least not to me.
Not to me either.
I know that Rob had been out redoing course markings at something like 4 a.m. because
the wind the day before kept tearing the tape.
Yeah, so for the big open fields, he'd had to put a tape system out, so, just regular plastic tape. The winds were quite strong, and they'd torn the tape off the posts that they were wrapped around. So he went out and redid that, and he put some spray-painted arrows, and I had no issues once we were out there. Even though it was a completely different layout to before, it was fine.
I made one small error, but that just meant that I missed that 6x6 Russian or Irish table type obstacle because we didn't go far enough, and we're talking like feet here, not even yards or quarters of a mile, and we just didn't make a big enough arc and didn't hit that, and I was okay with that.
That thing's brutal.
So I think that meant we missed maybe 60 or 70 feet of the course.
So I know we both ran journeyman, but what do you think of the new penalty system? How do you think it worked out? Did you hear anyone talking about it?
I didn't hear much chatter about it. I know it sounded good to me. I know I like the idea of it. I didn't hear any complaints, other than the night before when people were confused about, the multi-part obstacles. and how in the world, if you just fail one little part, how far back do you go? And there was some confusion there, but that all got cleared up the morning of during the athlete briefing. And so, those multi-part obstacles were the couple of obstacles that ended up having the chips with the penalties back at the barn. And those
penalties were hilarious.
Those were unique. What was it? It was battle ropes with fireman hoses.
Yep.
It was ride a bike with no brakes down an icy hill and then back up.
Yep. A little BMX too. It was Carver's BMX.
Yeah, so it was small enough that quote no brakes meant your brakes were your heels. Just put your feet down.
Yeah. I watched somebody jump on that and they were like, "Oh, I'm fine. I've got this." And the first corner they went to, they wiped out because they just bombed down the hill thinking they would be no problem. Yeah, they wiped out as soon as they got to the corner.
Yeah, not taking into account that it was icy. Oh my goodness, I have never been on a course that was that much ice before.
That was the name of the game for the race, was Icy.
Yes.
The new course layout, for those who know Shale Hill, the evil split wood. What's the obstacle name for that one?
I don't know.
Okay, whatever it is. So, Josh, you haven't been there, but it's two logs of wood held together with strapping, and that's what you have to carry around what is probably a 3/4 mile really gnarly loop. Half mile. Okay,
it's a half mile, but there's 4 good hills.
Yeah, and it was so icy that the new course layout, that was obstacle number 1. That was the first thing you came to when you set off, and Rob had made it very, very clear that it was going to be very icy, and these are not lightweight pieces of wood. This isn't like two bits of planks. It's serious trunks held together with strapping. He made it very, very clear that there were going to be times where you would have to ride them down a hill or send them down ahead of you, and be very careful about people further along and shout and communicate. And I hadn't really appreciated how bad it was.
Don't bowl them over.
Yeah. I didn't appreciate how bad it was until I got there, and Rob actually came by and he goes, "At least 2 people without ice bugs have made it. You'll be fine." I'm like, "Oh my God, it's that bad?" But yeah, it was that bad.
It was that bad. There were a couple times where we got in a line and one person would send their logs down and then they would creep down after it and the next person would send the logs down. Because there were a couple of hills where you would slide down, and at one point I didn't stay on the hill. I started sliding off the side, and all I could see was that the hill kept going. And I thought, oh my goodness, please let me stop and not go so far off course where I have to climb back up another hill just to get back on the course. Thankfully, I did stop.
There was some
near the bottom.
adventurous souls who sat down and went.
Yeah.
That's not for me. Not after, I don't know if you remember, Superhero Scrambles slide at Amesbury Sports Park when they had the rain.
Yes.
Ever since then.
It was closed when I got there.
Okay. Ever since then, I've been really leery of these uncontrolled slides.
Yes.
Some people are brave. One misplaced tree root and you were not having a fun time.
No. We were hollering to each other. There's a rock right here. Miss it if you can.
And the way the new penalty system worked, if you came off an obstacle, for the vast majority of the obstacles, you had to go back to the previous obstacle that you completed. So the obstacle immediately after this log carry was the Tyrolean Traverse. And if you were running competitive and you have a problem with the Tyrolean Traverse, you did not want to fail that one because you were going back to the log carry.
Log loop.
Doing that whole thing again. So I had a blast. I very much approved of the new course. I liked it. It was a tiny bit shorter. It was about 6 miles, 6 and a bit miles.
Tiny bit shorter than what he said. He thought it was going to be about 7.
Yeah, so he told me what had happened there. He had originally planned to run the course through a hill that was actually his neighbor's property. And it was going to be apparently some amazing views over the fields as you went up there. But the insurance rider to allow the course to go through someone else's property was astronomically high. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so it was one of those cases where it was all planned, all laid out, but the day they actually came to get the details nailed down, it was just not worth the effort. Not for the sake of 3/4 of a mile of trail, It wasn't like there were any obstacles there. I liked it.
All in all, I had a great time, and we knew that if you went out with a big group, you were not going to have an easy time finishing 2 laps. We ended up going out in a big group and trying to get up that first little hill.
Yep.
What he called the hill scramble, because that was technically the first obstacle, and then the ankle biters was the second, and the log loop was third. But we're talking technicalities, because going up a hill and climbing over some ropes, which of course I tripped myself right off the bat, went down hard right on the ice. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of people falling. So I was amazed. There were people showing up with non-studded shoes and no extra kind of traction devices for their regular sneakers, and then being surprised. I mean, I thought it was fairly well known by now that if you're running anywhere in the winter, in February, that you needed some kind of traction on your shoes. I thought that would be pretty obvious, but apparently not.
Yeah. Well, I found a Yak Track type device right at the very beginning. And one of our team who I was running with ended up actually borrowing it and using it for the whole rest of the course. So she had one shoe with a little bit of traction and one without. And she went down hard 4 or 5 times.
Ouch.
And we spent a lot of time with one person on one side of her and another person on the other, holding hands, walking through some areas to try and prevent that.
Well, I was very happy I had my Icebug Speed boots. They weren't the most efficient running shoe, but my feet stayed warm, my feet stayed dry, and I didn't fall on my ass too much.
That's right.
Yep.
So it was a good time. If you have not ever done a polar bear, I highly recommend it. Think about it for next year. It's usually the first weekend of February on the Saturday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the first wave, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the last wave, typically.
Yep.
And it's a whole lot of fun.
And I know Rob is planning something over the rest of the year, but I don't think he's nailed down dates and details yet. But keep your eyeballs peeled for what else is happening at Shale Hill this year.
Yes.
And for those who ran Race Local, that was 6 miles, which if you did 1 lap was 6 points. And then you get a point for every extra lap you did. And I think the winning lap was 4 laps. 3 laps, 4 laps? I think 4 laps.
Did anybody make 4?
I don't know. I know a few people made 3.
Because I know we got lapped once by a group of people, but we never got lapped a second time.
Okay.
So it might have been 3.
Okay, well, it's Rob thought it would be a faster course this year, with it being a little shorter, and the layout of the new course, it kind of hit the really hard obstacles first. So you did the monkey bars backwards or downhill. You did the Tarzan swing pretty early. So you got some of the really kind of energy sapping stuff done quickly. And then the rest of the course was, the more technical, less physical brute strength stuff. And I like that layout. Even though I didn't do them, I like that layout.
I did as much as I could, but it came down to I'm not taking my gloves off because my fingers are really in bad shape already. So there were quite a few things, and that's why I run Journeyman. I know that there are going to be times when I'm not going to be able to do anything, and nobody can complain because we were probably the slowest Journeyman group out there, so we came in pretty much last out of everyone, so I didn't steal anyone's spot, even though I didn't do all the obstacles. But it did come down to I cannot take my gloves off.
Yep. How do you manage with the wheelbarrow carry?
A lot better than last year, but it still was a struggle because of the really, really cold handles and having to hold them for a sustained period of time. But better than last year.
Good. Sweet. So if you haven't done Shale Hill, you haven't done Polar Bear Challenge, you should do that. Because it's a blast. What else is going on? Josh. You were waiting for that. So what else is going on? I know Tough Mudder have just put out a couple of announcements that I've seen but haven't dug into yet. But I think, Josh, you know a bit more about these guys?
Yeah, and just give me crap if my connection is terrible because you guys have been cutting in and out, but it might just be my terrible service.
I think it's you.
It's you.
Yeah, so a couple big announcements from Tough Mudder the last couple of weeks. So the first one, last week or the week before, is they announced that they are going to be expanding on their Tough Mudder 5K series format that we saw last year in, I think, Nashville. They had launched one. So they are launching now the 5K option all across the country. So I think somewhere upwards of 20 different events are going to have a 5K option throughout the United States, and I think one in UK somewhere. So it is coming to Boston for the Boston event, which is on June 24th. So they'll have a 5K option. I am looking at their website, and I don't know if this is replacing the half. No, it's not replacing the half. So
nope.
There'll now be a Tough Mudder 5K, a Tough Mudder half, and a Tough Mudder full. So 3 miles, 5 miles, and 10 miles from our friends at Tough Mudder, and that is their challenge series, as they call it, which I'm going to go ahead and call the casual race series. Mm-hmm. And then they have their competitive race series, which is Tougher, Toughest, and World's Toughest, as well as Tough Mudder X, which was their invite-only competitive 1 mile showdown, which I loved. I hope they bring that to more venues. So Tough Mudder has reached critical mass, I think, with race capabilities and race distances. So they've got a full spectrum of offerings for every athlete that's out there. So it should be a busy year for Tough Mudder.
They really do have something for everybody.
So considering my challenge at keeping all their names straight, please tell me they've given this a really confusing name. Like Tough Mudderer or...
No, Tough Mudder 5K.
Okay, that one I'll probably remember that one.
If you don't remember that, you do not need to be in this forum.
I feel like they missed an opportunity there.
Well, I'm sure they'll get creative. They're very creative with obstacle names and all kinds of other stuff. So,
well, I saw something yesterday about a strongest, fastest, greatest, or toughest.
Okay.
Where strongest is the X and fastest is the Tougher Mudder, the timed first lap, and toughest, of course, is World's Toughest. But I don't know if that was a joke or if it was just marketing or if that's something they're actually trying to kind of include in the brand. I couldn't interpret it.
It was the Daft Punk.
So the next question that I know people ask is, can I do all of these in one day? Or one weekend, or do I get a second medal, or any of that crap? Is this just multiple offerings and there's no real kind of trifecta-esque prize for doing them all?
No. So, well, not necessarily related to the 5K. However, they have, earlier this year, they announced that they are bringing a real, legit, now the word is
Grail.
Sandy, help me out. Grail.
Yep.
So after seeing the Grail, a.k.a. the glass mug that they debuted in Vegas after World's Toughest Mudder last year, they are now giving away a actual holy grail that you will get for competing in a Tougher, Toughest, and World's Toughest Mudder.
Okay.
So that is their competitive race series. So you will get a legit skull emblazoned grail this year. So that is their equivalent
supposedly
of the trifecta.
Because if you read the small print in some of the ads, it said banner or badge.
Oh,
electronic.
Oh, that will go over well.
I'm not 100% sold.
If they shot themselves in the foot last year at Vegas, they now have shot themselves in the other foot if they're going to give you a digital badge.
Right.
But no, I mean, so, could you do multiple Tough Mudders in one weekend? Sure. You can do the 5K. You can turn around and run the half. You can turn around and run the full in the same day if you want and get yourself 3 headbands. Tough Mudder is there's no limitation on what to do. And in that case, there's also no restriction on what to do. So, if it counts, it counts is what they do. So
now the 5K and the half do not count towards your Legionnaire count status. So if you add those, you don't count those as a, 10 time towards your 10 headband or any of those.
That's only the full Tough Mudder.
Those are only the fulls and only 1 per day. So if you run multiple laps in a day, you only count 1.
And I did just see that they posted a picture of a new 100 Tough Mudder laps headband or crown. It looked like.
Yes.
So every year, last year they had a headband with like a metal placard on it that they handed out to the folks that hit 100 Tough Mudder runs. And This year they've got a new one, so they do a new design and look and feel every year. So, Sandy, is it
I think it's going to stick from now on.
Hit that, or 2020?
I think it's going to stick from now on. I don't think it's going to change from year to year going forward. I am going to fall just short of 50 this year. So I'll have 50 for my 50th birthday.
Very cool.
Nice.
So that'll be pretty cool because that'll be next year, early on in the year. I'll hit 50.
So, Josh, earlier on you said they've hit critical mass, but they're still adding new stuff, aren't they? What else have they done? This one I did see.
Yeah, so they're doing a few things. So every year Tough Mudder makes it a point to introduce new obstacles. So they are adding that Kong Infinity, which if you haven't seen it, it's essentially a big giant cable spool with rings on it. You have to actually work your way up this incline device to get up it. So that debuted at World's Toughest Mudder, so that's going to be in regular format.
Yes, it did.
They're bringing back some obstacles from the vault, from years past. So they put it up for, I don't know if they put it up for like a public vote or
they did.
They did. Yeah, and then so they have a few new obstacles they're debuting this year, and then just yesterday they announced that they've had it for a while, but they announced the members of the 2018 Tough Mudder Pro Team. And last year, I'm pretty sure it had Atkins and Lindsey Webster and Hunter McIntyre. Those three are back, as well as the addition of Karina Coffin and Allison Ty. And I apologize if they were on last year's. I don't know off the top of my head. And those are, those 5 athletes are pretty much the top athletes you saw running World's Toughest Mudder this past.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones to beat when it comes to World's Toughest Mudder. And there's others in there, but not obviously a member of the team. So that is a pro team that you'll see traveling around with Tough Mudder at their competitive events this year. And they put up on their website, the athletes and then their little tidbits about them. So if you know, Hunter,
mm-hmm.
The fun fact about Hunter, at the age of 27, Hunter has already been a lumberjack in Montana, a party enthusiast, and male model.
All true.
All very true. So Ryan Atkins, I was interested to learn, is a multiple-time unicycle world champion. So,
well, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like what kind of unicycle? Like tricks or like mountain?
With him, yeah, if I had to guess with him, I'd say crazy off-roading uphill unicycle world champion.
Yeah, downhill mountain unicycling.
Yeah, that's a thing.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
For the tri-obstaclon at Shale Hill one year, the very first year, there was a guy there who did the tri-obstaclon, the bike portion of it, on a unicycle.
Yes, he did. Yep.
He was, I think, ranked 2nd in the world at that time. And, oh my God, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, one more thing on Tough Mudder. They did add something this year, and I apologize because I can't remember what they're calling it. Repeat offender, I think, maybe, where if you do a full and a half in the same weekend, you get repeat offender status. I don't know what that means as far as if there's any additional swag or if there's just a digital badge or what. I should probably look that up. But they are doing that as well. So
Sandy, here's a question. How good are Tough Mudder at actually tracking that kind of stuff? Because you said earlier, right, the headbands is 1 per day. But do they actually track it once per day? Are they good at this?
I think they are trying to get a grip on it, but it's taken a while. I know that for a while after you would finish one, they would send you an email that says, hey, we've got you listed as being on Tough Mudder number 3. And I'm like, try 23. And they would ask, which other events have you done? And you would have to click through. Well, after doing that the 3rd time and it still being wrong, I just gave up. And now I get emails that are way closer to what my actual total is. So I don't think they started it early. I think they're playing catch up. But I think they are definitely making the effort to try and get it right.
So I remember the days of when trifectas were, actual annually capped, but you earned them by doing the 3 races in a year. And I remember just how much of a shit show it was over at Spartan. I wondered if Tough Mudder had nailed it. But apparently not. Apparently counting is still a challenge for every big brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a struggle having multiple databases storing multiple information. And when I register on site at Spartan, they always spell my last name with an S, so I get half of my registrations checked in. And just to kind of go around the gambit of the big name people, right? Spartan, a couple things they're doing for obstacles this year. So they are making the penalty loop a more standard procedure, it sounds like. So their two most recent competitive races, they had a barbed wire crawl penalty lap. If you failed, one of them was for the Z-wall. So if you failed the Z-wall, you had to go do a barbed wire crawl.
Is this for competitive or for everyone?
Also doing for these are in the competitive waves.
Okay.
And the open wave is, the same mindset. It's do it if you want. If you don't feel like it, that's fine.
Yeah.
The other thing they're doing is they have these nice little branded silk bags handing out their trifecta medals in now. So when you get a 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 23 times, you get a little trifecta kit that comes along with it, which is a nice little touch. They also are debuting this year the official kids trifecta medal.
Oh my God!
Kids now have.
Oh.
Yeah, I think a half, 1 and 2 mile race or somewhere around.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And they let the kids do it all in one day if you want.
I had no idea they were doing that. Good for them.
And then let's check off some boxes. Our friends at Savage announced a bunch of new obstacles this year.
Yep.
The battering ram, which is one of those sliding poles you have to kind of skivvy across. You got Holy Sheet, which I love, which is essentially like a rig but with hanging, silk sheets to navigate. And the last one called Pedal for the Medal, which looks like you are literally laying on your back and with your feet pedaling a giant spool to try and rig something.
I saw that. I saw a photo or a video or something of that.
One.
It looks weird. I don't know that it will scale. I don't know how it will scale.
It looks weird, and I can't imagine it not causing inevitable backups.
That's what I thought too.
So I don't know how many stations you're going to have, because it's funny in the picture, and this is just a picture of them sampling it. I see literally one station and one person doing it, and 20 people all lapping around. I'm like, hey, that's great.
Yeah, he's going to be there a while.
Yeah, they've got that coming this year. We talked about Savage Blitz on a prior episode, I think. Even our friends at Bone Frog have a few new obstacles. They've got the guillotine obstacle, which is like a balance beam log up over a wall, down a balance beam. They've got a massive A-frame cargo net that they're bringing to their event in Orlando.
Saw a photo of that. That looks huge.
Yeah, so lots of good obstacle news for every race, no matter which one you are preferential towards. I have not seen any new obstacles for Ragnar yet, so I'm still waiting on that.
Yeah.
Now the obstacle at Ragnar is rent your vans,
which we've nailed. Our team has nailed that one.
That off our list.
Yep.
We got that one done. So.
We are booked. Well, I know on the
actually a little behind. I usually have that locked down in January.
Well, we're good. We have a van. I think our team captain is busy sorting out who's in which van. It boils down to team breakfast or team dinner.
Which is the right way to do it.
On the more local scene, I actually just saw a notification pop up on my screen for Sunny Hill Viking Challenge. I think that is coming up in May. Someone creating an event for it. If you've never done that, it's upstate New York. Sunny Hill is I think they are a 18-hole golf resort venue, all-inclusive, on-site everything, and a 5-6 mile Rob Butler style course in the woods. Rob Butler style because he helped build it and design it. And they are fantastic, especially if you're out in Western Mass or Central Mass. It's no further to get there than it is to get to, say, Killington. It's really easy to get to. That just popped up, so keep your eyes on that. And then we've race locals moving. We've got 3 races in. We've got a race coming up not this weekend, but the following weekend. The Pursue events. Lauren was on the show a couple of weeks back, a few weeks back. All 3 of her races are going to be race local. And Winter Dash.
Those are branded for kids, but adults are welcome as well.
So she's actually made some changes for this next one where there's going to be a mileage loop for adults. So if you're an adult running it, you're not going to be doing a kids distance course. Even though the obstacles are built for the kids, you can still do them, but they're built for the kids. She's going to add a mileage loop so you can go out and build up some mileage and get a bit of a longer distance of running. And she supports adults going out there and running multiple laps. There's some limits on that for race local purposes, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go out and have a good time and support someone who's trying to do something cool for OCR families and the New England region.
Absolutely.
Lauren's doing awesome stuff. I'm going to try and get my kid there. That's over at Carter and Stevens Farm, so it's not too far from me. And hopefully the weather cooperates. It's always the challenge this time of year, the weather.
Yeah, so hopefully she doesn't struggle like she did for the first that had to be rescheduled twice due to single-digit temperatures.
If we have single-digit temperatures, I'm not going to be happy.
Well, she's not going to hold it if it's single digits because that's just not... it's just not safe.
But yeah, things are coming on. The season's starting to ramp up. Races are coming. People are getting out and starting to stretch their legs a bit more. I think that's all I have for this episode. How about you guys?
I need to stretch my legs.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm jonesing now. I'm starting to see all the social media coverage of people all over the country racing. And
you mean the races you could have come and done?
Yeah. I am doing a race in a month, but I don't think it's going to be very cold then, so we'll see.
What are you doing
in
a month?
You never know. Hopefully not, but you never know.
What do you have coming up? Josh, what's in a month?
I've got Creek Peak.
Oh, right.
Creek Peak, and then a bunch in April, and then May it goes full bore. So
wonderful. I'm looking forward to Ragnar. That's my focus. That's where I'm excited for. All right. I think that's it, guys.
I think that's it.
We got no questions from the crowd today because it's a funny time of day to be recording, but usual deal. Subscribe, leave reviews, leave comments. Thanks for listening.
And as always, thanks for listening.
Yeah, we'll see everybody soon.
Bye.
As always, guys, thanks so much for checking out the show. We'd love to hear what you think, so give us some feedback. Submit a question, share a story from one of your recent races or events. I think the show gets better and better with your participation, and it's not just Paul, Sandy, and myself talking. So to reach out, ask questions, suggest a topic, whatever it may be. Follow along on Facebook. We've got a dedicated Any Spottins show page, or you can join the community at Any Spottins on Facebook as well. Twitter's your thing. Shoot us a tweet at Any Spottins. And if you want to find our full library of episodes, I'd recommend either iTunes or Stitcher. So again, for Paul, Sandy, myself, thanks so much for listening, and until next time.